In the football career, you go through a lot ups and downs and a lot of difficult moments. And let's say the ones that suffered most, are family. Fucking they see your good moments, your bad moments, your good side, your bad side also. But they always stand by you.
Your time at Manchester United's been a bit of a roller coaster like this. And so on that day when you get a big offer to leave Manchester United for a contract that was worth reportedly 200 million, why didn't you go? Manchester United's captain, Bruno Fernandes, has arguably become their greatest player in the post-Ferguson era. There isn't a single player in the Premier League who has more assists since his arrival. He's won more Club Player of the Year awards than Ronaldo, and only 5 players have scored more than his 70 league goals. So I'm at the Manchester United training ground to ask him the questions the footballing world wants to know, including, recently Roy Keane criticised your mentality based on a quote he claimed you said. How do you respond to that?
He came criticizing me, killing me, say that I'm not good enough, that I'm not a good captain, that I'm not a good player for the club. It's okay, I don't mind. What I don't like was when people lie about things. I even asked Ole his number to have a word with him.
Did you speak to him? To understand somebody, I always think you have to start with where they started and the early context that they grew up in. And we were just talking before we started recording about Porto. I'm on a journey to understand why you are the way that you are, because you're such an anomaly on the pitch. And your career, when I tracked the journey of where you've come from and how you continually were promoted and pushed forward at a very young age, it's clear to me that your early context, your early upbringing, and whatever it was that was present at that age has shaped you in some very, very important way. What is the sort of earliest thing I need to understand about where you came from and that environment?
For me, it's all about family. It's about taking care of other people. And I think to succeed, not just in sports, but in life, you need to be very careful of your surroundings. So I think the values of my family, the values of my parents were what make me the person and the player I am today.
The older I've gotten, I'm now 33, so I think I'm 2 years older than you, the more I've realized actually with time what I learned from my parents and like the values that my dad in particular gave me. For a lot of the things, it's not something he ever said to me. It's like modeling what he did. So seeing how he behaved.
Yeah.
What's that for you?
It's kind of the same, like my father was never a person to show his emotions too much or tell you what to do or how to do it. He would just do it, and you would understand by his behavior, by the way he does things, that that was his way of showing us how he has to be doing. Was never a person of like hugging, kissing and stuff. He's got now into that. Even when I come out of games and stuff, you see, like I always get his hug, I always get his kiss, and this is something that as a kid, I knew how much he loved me, but in these small aspects was always my mom giving this kind of love. He was more in the way of he was showing how things have to be done, how much you have to sacrifice yourself to certain things. My dad was very strong with me in terms of like games. Mm-hmm. Imagine I could come out of a game scoring 2-3 goals or whatsoever, and my dad in this case will always pick up the bad moments I had in games to make me understand that was good, but wasn't great. There's always margin to improvements, it's always small things. And I think I've learned from such a young age to deal with criticism that I'm now probably in one of the biggest clubs in terms of like getting criticism and attention. That doesn't hurt me. Like, I don't like it. Obviously, no one likes to get criticized, but it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't change the way I behave. It doesn't change the way I want to do things. But from the other side, it makes me understand there is still things to improve. And I listen to that, and I look at my game and I see if it's needed of changing, of improvement in my game. And my dad was always very strong in that with me. And I see nowadays the parents, my dad never wanted me to be a footballer. He wanted me to become a better person, a better player, or a better student. Everything I wanted to do, he just wanted me to do it at like 100%. You want to do this, you have to do the best you can. You can't just be happy with, you go to a test, and let's say in Portugal was from 0 to 100%, and you have 98, and you'll be the most happiest person in the world. No, you can be happy because that result is amazing, but you left 2% then that you still can improve. So you always showing me that even if it was just a small thing or a small detail, you still have something more to do. You still have something more that you can improve or become better. And that's something that has stuck with me, not just in football, but in life. I don't like to do things 50%, 60, 70, or 80. Whenever I'm included in something, I want to go full. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to be the best version I can in that aspect, whatever it is.
I mean, it's really interesting because I wondered to myself how I think you started playing football at 5 years old.
Yeah, 5.
And were you good from 5 years old? Were you different from your peers at a young age?
In such a young age, I never think about being a footballer. I just wanted to play football for life. I'm just happy playing football. I just want to have this ball in my feet every time, all time.
And you joined FC Infesta?
Yeah, that was my first club.
At 5 years old. I mean, I've got some photos of you as a young man here. I've got so many photos here, but you must be roughly around that age then. And remarkably, I read that after one training session, they moved you into the older group and you played with people 2 years older than you when you were, 5 years old?
Yeah, I was 5 playing with the 7 years old.
Why did they move you into a different group?
I went for the first session and it was a futsal session, 5-a-side, but like an indoor thing.
Yeah.
And after that first session, they told me that like, no, you need to get on the grass. And then I think it comes just, I looked at the other players and at other people that were training with me, and I didn't want to be better than them. I just wanted to like getting at them was the same as getting at my brother that was 5 years older than me. For me, it was no difference. If I have to beat him up, I will beat him up. Like 1v1, I'm gonna go past him. I have to tackle, I'm gonna tackle him. He's gonna tackle me stronger, doesn't matter. I tackle him again, and I had no fear, and I think that was the thing that made me become better and better, because I was never the best. Like technical ability, yes, I was good. Was the best? No. Speed, was I quick? Yeah, I was quite quick. Was the quickest? No. I was the strongest? No. I was the tallest? No. But I had no fear of anything of that. I had to sprint with someone that was quicker than me. I'm going to sprint with him, and I might not beat him, but I'm going to get close to that.
I actually read that you were so aggressive that referees sometimes asked your coach at Infesta, Sergio, to sub you off. Otherwise, they'd have to send you off.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of correlates with what you were saying there about fear.
Yeah.
You were aggressive.
That's what I mean. Like I had no fear, like I wouldn't look at faces or sizes whatsoever and think like, oh, he's bigger than me, like he's gonna be stronger than me or whatsoever. I would get into any ball in any moment in the game with no fear at all. And this is probably the best times in my career between Infesta and Boavista, because this one is Infesta, this one is at Boavista. When I stayed probably a year at Infesta, and Boavista got me straight away.
And you moved quickly up and up and up and up. And that was one of the remarkable things I noticed when I looked at you starting playing at 5 years old, getting promoted to an older team, and then quickly, almost in all the clubs, I'm looking at when you were 17 years old and you left Portugal and moved to Italy to join Navarra.
Yeah.
And after 3 months there, you were promoted to the first team. But then you very quickly joined Udinese.
Yes.
And at Udinese, you met a guy called Francesco, I can't pronounce his surname, but Guidolini?
Guidolini, yeah.
He was really, really formative in your career, wasn't he? You were, 18 years old?
18 years old, yeah.
Why was he such an important part of your career? What did he teach you or give you at Udinese?
He was the manager that probably gave me the basis and the foundation to be fearless and express myself, like to get my head out of so many things that were going on. And as a young kid that has just made the step into the Serie A, and he's like, oh, now is the moment I need to show myself. But he was like, you don't. You showed me that you have the qualities when you were in second division in Italy. That's why we bought you. And to be honest, I was on the edge of coming to Watford on loan.
Watford?
Yeah, because it's the same owners. And we're getting at the edge of the transfer window. They just bought me, and obviously they had a big squad with a lot of players, and they were like, we're gonna send you to Watford, you're gonna be there playing for them, blah, blah. And I was like, what have I done? Like I wasn't good enough. And then in the same moment they called me to go to the hotel, pack my stuff, because it was like last days this. Pack my stuff. I was with my girlfriend, wife now, and she was like, don't worry, we're gonna go anywhere else, and you're gonna succeed. And I said, but why can't I make it here? Like, what was that I did wrong that like the manager's like not looking at me the same that he's looking to other players? And in my head was like, have I done something wrong? I've not like showed my full potential. Have I not shown that I'm good enough to be in this team? And I don't know why, in the middle of all this thought, the sporting director called me again and says, Bruno, you can't go anymore. The manager wants you to stay. He says he loved you. He loves your attitude. He wants you to learn from him. He wants you to understand how he wants to play and everything. He says you might not play much this season, but he's pretty sure that you are the type of player that will succeed at this club. And then we had many conversations. And I think when you want a manager for young players that very quick will play and will think like, oh, I'm the guy now, he's gonna make you understand, stay calm, I got you, but you're still not there. And he was so good for me. He was like a father figure, but not just for me. If you speak with every player that was there at that time, they knew they were important for him because he always showed that. And that's why he made me so much more complete in terms of understanding the moments and the process that managers have to go through their heads and what they think about players that is better or whatsoever that you don't understand. Whenever a manager puts you on the bench, you just think, doesn't like me. He's doing this because he wants to make another one play. But the way he did it with me and all the players that were around me at that time, we were so happy that the environment was very, very good.
As a young man, when you're this age, you're 18 years old, what are your dreams? And if I'd asked you at the time, what does your future look like? What would you have said to me?
As soon as I became a professional player, I was like, I want to be on the top clubs. I want to play for the big clubs. I want to be in the Champions League. I want to play for trophies. I want to become the players I'm looking at. I want to become like them.
Did you think you could?
Yeah, always. I never doubt.
And at 22, you get a call and you return to Portugal and sign a 5-year deal with Sporting in a deal worth reportedly 8.5 million. That next season, you scored 20 goals and added 13 assists, which is unheard of for a player in your position. And what I read as well is that Tottenham were interested in you at that time. And it was at one point highly likely that you were going to end up moving to Tottenham. I'm very glad you didn't as a Man United fan, but tell me about that. So Tottenham call you.
Yeah, I spoke with Tottenham and we were very close to get an agreement done. Then in the last 2 days or 1 day of market, the Sporting just said, we're not going to sell him. We're going to keep him because we need him. And
you wanted to go to Tottenham?
Yes, because I wanted to play in the Premier League.
Why?
Because for me, it's the best league in the world. It's the most competitive one. It's the one that I think when you grow up, you dream to play for, like full stadiums, top clubs, top players. Obviously, I was lucky enough that my dream club to play in England was Man United, and obviously Tottenham at the time was the option I had, and I was very, very happy to join them because they showed me the process that they were going through. The manager that was there at the time, they also really wanted me, all the new things, the new facilities and everything. So I was very happy with everything that I could see going forward. But it didn't happen, and for bigger reasons, I guess. And then in January, I got the call that I was hoping for 2-3 years already.
Tell me about that call. Because I know Manchester United has been, in your eye for a long time. I mean, I know you grew up watching people like Cristiano Ronaldo play for this club, and I think when he first played for Portugal, you were a young guy. You were like 8 or 10 years old or something, and he had been a great star of Manchester United. But I think generally people of our age group, we grew up in the heyday of Manchester United, the Sir Alex Ferguson era as well. So why Manchester United? And can you zoom me in? If I'm a fly on the wall when you get that phone call from your agent, I guess, that Manchester United are I can see the smile on your face.
No. I was, let's say, I was in my wardrobe. I was getting ready to go to bed. We just had my wife was just putting my daughter, at that time I only had my daughter, to bed. And I get the call from my agent. I knew things were going on and everything, but after what happened with Tottenham, I didn't want to put my focus on transfer windows. And I never did it in every step of my career that I've changed club. I always said to my agent, whenever he's like 95% that the club really wants me and is ready to make an offer, tell me, and then I decide if it's like the right moment and I want to go. a part of that is I'm like, just keep him apart. Keep me apart. I don't want to know it. I don't want like to lose the focus of what I'm doing to something that I can't control. And after the Tottenham thing, I was like even more, because obviously I was basically done. And then all of a sudden, last day, Sporting just says like, guys, they text Tottenham and say like, we're not going to make it. So he called me and he said, Bruno, so you told me to not speak to you until we had something like concrete. But just so you know, they also have agreement already, everything. So it's just on your side now to say yes or no. And I was like yes or no to what? And he said, come on, you've seen the news. I said, my agent calls me, guys, and Miguel, the news are every day different. Every day they're going to put a new club that is interested in me. So I'm not going to be focused on that. He said, okay, Man United is coming for you. I know this is like what you want. So just so you know, this is the one that you've been waiting for. So it's on you now to make a decision. And then for like 10-20 seconds I didn't say anything. I was crying, but I didn't want to talk because, you know, like your voice starts going a little bit choky. And then all of a sudden my wife gets into the wardrobe and he says, I'm still on the call. And she goes like, why are you crying? And like him on the phone say, are you crying? I was like, I turned that off and I was like, Miguel just called me. And then in the moment I'm trying to explain to my wife what's going on, he's calling me like repetitively, like I need an answer. And I was like, and my wife was like, why are you crying so? Like, this is like what you have dreamed for. Like, this is the moment you've waiting for. And I was like, oh, I don't know. It's just too much. Like, I've never expected after everything that happened with Tottenham, I would have got the chance to come to the Premier League again. And having the chance to come to the Premier League with Man United it's like 100% of the dream complete. So obviously then like I just call him back and I said like I don't even want to know anything else, just tell them I'm going. Obviously I was very good at Sporting and I was very happy there because I really enjoyed my time at Sporting, because it was when I became probably the best version of myself as a player, where I improved so much in that 2 years and a half. But then was like the dream of playing for the Premier League, and I think from every Sporting fan they really understood that was ready for me to go and do the next step.
And when you joined, here's the famous photo of you signing with Manchester United.
Yeah.
It's funny, the smile that you still have on your face when you look at this photo.
Same, yeah. It's because I think when you look back, as I said, like this is the day your dream comes true. So it's probably professional-wise, I think I put this one and Sporting together because of the importance that Sporting had in my career. But obviously this was the cherry on top of the cake, because this is where I wanted to be.
And you joined the club at a time when the club was in a bit of turmoil, struggling. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson has left. We've cycled through a bunch of managers, and we've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the manager at that point. I think the club was 7th in the Premier League when you joined, and it was going through a time of turbulence. You knew that Manchester United wasn't the most stable club in the world, but you chose to come here anyway. And based on your record at Sporting, you would have had a lot of other opportunities to join a club that was more stable. That was, you know, and it's interesting because clubs can have a big impact on a player's future. Players can have a big impact on a club, but it also goes the other way. And as someone that runs businesses, you know the environment you join has a huge impact on everyone's behavior, no, irrespective of how hard you try. You chose to join a club that was at the time unstable.
Look, the game I looked before I came here was, I think, Burnley, and United loses at home 2-1. I don't remember exactly, but I know they've lost that game, and it was just like days before I came. And I was like, I still think there's a lot of potential in that team. And a part of having potential in that team, I'm joining one of the biggest clubs in the world. And I know that clubs go through periods where things don't go the way they want, but sometimes it's not just because they're not great. It's just because other teams are being better than them. And that's fine, because in football, you're not going to win all the time. But the thing you can do is like, you can bring your own values, your own experience, your own qualities, and trying to help everyone else around you to become better, to become the team you want to see. And I think at that time, that period of Then we had the COVID time and all the stuff. But that period, from there to the end of the season, the team was unbelievable. And the season after, we got second place. And because we struggled in certain moments of keeping up to the standard of City, that had a very good end of season. But for me, it was like, I wasn't like, I'll fix that. I was like, I'm gonna be the magic powder that's gonna solve all the problems. But I really knew that this club had something special, and for me to join it was like, I can be part of something that is going to become great again. And I still believe that. And obviously, it can take time. It's taking more time than I thought. Yes, of course. But at that time, I had too many dreams in my head, and they still are here, and still a lot of things that I want to achieve. But this smile and this guy that came here in 2020 is still the same guy that wants to win and succeed at this club.
I'm wondering, because there's been so much said about the environment at Manchester United over the years. I know a little bit about the environment when Sir Alex Ferguson was here, because I interviewed a lot of his players, and having been to Carrington before, and actually going to the grounds and actually sitting in the hospitality lounge and waitresses coming over to me and talking about when Sir Alex Ferguson was here and how he knew everyone's name. And then how it changed. It was really interesting to me to get a lot of this feedback, because it highlighted how small things in culture can have a big impact right down to the way players play. And there's always the story that Gary Neville told me about with Wendy and her charity balls. He told me a story of the players walking past Wendy who got the charity ball signed for a local charity. And one day, a couple of them didn't sign it. And Sir Alex Ferguson came downstairs and he, quote, fucking killed us. And it's a strange thing to do, like to care that much about a small detail in culture. But over time, Gary told me he understands why Sir Alex Ferguson cared so much. So my question to you is really about the cultural evolution at this club, and what the fans are desperate to know about, like how it's changed and how it feels different from the time you arrived in 2018 up until today.
I've brought in my behavior, the way I've been raised and all these things. And I think every different player has brought different things to the club. But I think one of the things that has to be always there is the respect for people. And I think that says, for me, is a non-negotiable thing. Like if any player comes to this club and he doesn't respect the physios, the stewards, the people that are in all the desks we have here, the people that work for us in the restaurant, the chefs, and all these people that are around us, taking care of us, even if you don't see it, or if you don't think it, or whatever it is, for me is a non-negotiable thing, that the respect has to be always there. And more than respect, the care. You need to care about them, because if you have a good foundation, a good base of respect and care in your club, it's going to get better. The environment gets better. Everything is more positive. Because I think, and this is probably the way I've been raised, I treat everyone in the same way. I don't treat the players in a way that I don't treat the clean lady or the people that are in the front desk, or the stewards and at the entrance. If I say good morning to these ones, I say good morning to these ones. I don't change that. If I give a handshake to these ones, I give a handshake to this one. If I greet them as I'm greeting my teammates, they will feel part of it. They will feel involved. They will feel as important as them, even knowing that the role of them is completely different of the other ones, because the role of a CEO is one thing. But if the cleaner doesn't clean everything nice and leaves everything prepared and well done and everything, you will notice that something is wrong. You will notice that this is not the place where you want to work for. You notice that you don't want to be the CEO of a company that has trash everywhere.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't you greet the person that takes care of you, takes care of your place, to look so good and to make an impact when people come in from the outside?
It reminds me of something actually Johnny Ive said. So Johnny Ive is the famous Apple designer that designed all the Apple products that we know and love. And he said, it's very hard to feel care. He goes, but everyone can feel when someone didn't care. You go to a restaurant and they didn't care. Small things. He goes, but it's like, he said, care is just this thing in the background, this ambient feeling you have when you arrive somewhere. But you can't like point out exactly what it is, but you can feel it.
That's the thing. I think it's more that you feel it, but you don't see it. And I think, touching this point, I was talking about cleaners. My mom she was cleaning houses for work. So I never wanted the people that were cleaning the house to treat my mom badly, or let's say downgrade the work she's doing for them. Because, for example, now I have a person that works in my house. I don't allow my kids to talk badly to her. I don't allow my kids to say, grab that, you put it in place. And I said it to her in the first day she came to work, and I said, if something is not in the right place, obviously I want you to clean. I want you to put things in place. I want all of this. But I don't want my kids to tell you, oh, arrange that or put this in place. No. If they want something, they can ask you. But first of all, they need to be respectful. If they can't make it, they have to ask you, but in the respect way. But if it's something that they can make, you have to make them make it. Not like, oh, you do it. No, just explain them how to do it. Show them the way so they learn with it. And this probably, the way I behave with the people that work with me, it comes a lot because of my background of not like it to see my mom, because I was not in the houses, obviously. I don't know if they treated well or not. My mom never said to me that any of the people that she worked for were bad to her or treat her in a bad way. So I really think that made me understand that because I don't want that for my mom, I won't make that to other people.
I've been a Man United fan since I was a kid. So like my siblings were born in Manchester. I was saying to you before, I was born in Botswana in Africa. But because I've got two older brothers who are Man United fans, I very quickly became a Manchester United fan. I remember like 3-4 years old. And then as soon as I could, when I was 18, I moved up from the southwest to Manchester at 18 years old. And I lived here and went to my first Manchester United games. I've seen the club go on this incredible journey from, Sir Alex Ferguson's era to this sort of period of transition to where we are now. And it's my observation, my honest observation, that in the post-Fergie era, the club made some bad decisions as it relates to recruitment and culture. People often talk about Ed Woodward's. I'm not going to try and stitch you up in any way or get you to talk about anything in particular. I'm just expressing my opinion. They talk about Ed Woodward's strategy towards signing players and it being a bit flippant. And then you look at the sort of group of lads that we had. And just as a United fan watching on the pitch, I felt the culture was a bit confused because it didn't seem like it seems now, where it seems like there's this really strong central agreement around the values. It felt a bit, I don't know, a bit like we had signed players because they were famous or big, but not because they fit. And I feel when I look at the club now, I go, oh, these guys kind of fit. And whoever's doing recruiting is thinking about character. It feels to me like there's been this process over the last couple of years of getting rid of the wrong character profiles. And I think Amorim really spoke to this. He really talked about getting rid of the players that didn't have the right character profile. Just to add one more line to this, I've spoken to a lot of players at the club in past and present, and they expressed the same to me as well, that there was an issue with sort of character profile that has now been solved for.
I think the main mistake that the club has done through the years is that we've changed manager to manager. They were very different. And that's already a bad sign, not of recruitment, because then you bring in players that fit that manager. Mm-hmm. But the next one you brought plays a completely different way. And the 3 or 4 or 5 that you bought don't fit this one anymore. And then you have to buy another 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. And then the constantly change of strategy in the club or in the way we wanted to play or whatsoever was not the best, because then obviously it becomes that the players don't suit anymore. The system is not even more the character then it comes up, but it's more the system. Then obviously we can talk about character, certain players that were not a perfect fit for the club, but you never know it until you bring it to the club. I think sometimes you can see it, and I think it's their players that I think the club, by the behavior they have on the pitch or the behavior they have on social media whatsoever, you can see if they will be a fit for the club or not. And I think the main thing for the club, as you said there, you need to bring good characters, because that will be more important to build something that good qualities. Because good qualities, they will have. You don't bring a player to Man United that doesn't have qualities. But if you can add the qualities to the character, that's a win-win. Mm-hmm. Because the qualities will be moments that the quality won't be as good as you want, because players go through periods that sometimes they play very good, sometimes they play very bad. But the character remains the same. And that's the character you want, where they are on a low, to be the right character to push himself to be on a high, or at the same time when they are on the low, to be the right character to push the other ones to be at the top level. And I think that's the main thing that the club has to do in terms of recruitment and everything, is bringing people, first of all, that want to be a Man United to play for Man United, not to be a Man United just because it's a big club. They want to be here because this is the club they think, and they really understand that they want to succeed with this club. They want to bring this club back to the days we were used to see Man United. I know it's been 12, 13 years, I know, but we want that to get as short as possible to become that club that won 20 Premier League titles and is joined the most in the Premier League. So character in a football club is more important than the quality, because the quality, you're always going to get it and you can improve it.